Okay. So what happens when you know that your body is your temple? When you truly, truly know that your body is your temple? It's like we people have heard that God lives within and the body is the temple, but when the body really becomes a temple, then all the descriptions fall away, all the labels fall away, the persona falls away, the mask falls away. So the focus isn't on the body, because I mean, why would the focus be on the body? The focus is on the living spirit inside the temple. So that's what's so challenging in trying to get across, as we've been talking about, because my avatar is my temple. My avatar isn't just any avatar. It's not your avatar. It's not somebody else's avatar. It's my avatar. And that avatar has been prepared since day one to be a temple. And I've always known that it was to be a temple. And once that temple was built and prepared, then the spirit came to dwell inside my temple. And it's my spirit. It's not just any spirit. It's not, it's my own unique expression of self within the confines of existence, which just so happens to be being. And it's that spirit of truth, because it's the truth of the nature of reality, of the nature of existence, and the nature of being, which is what I am, and that's what my spirit is. So so I identify with my spirit, not with my body, not with my avatar, not with my temple, but with my spirit. And I know that this temple has taken.
Let's talk about your temple. Let's talk about that a minute. The temple that you're residing in at this moment was born on this earthly realm, of course, just like everybody else's. But through a process of life lessons and hardships and building you, actually destroying you to begin with, the you that you knew in this lifetime, to allow for this spirit of truth to come into the vessel that you're holding now, took a whole lot of work. It wasn't an easy process. It's been a long, long process. When we met and started working together, you were an empty vessel. You were ready to do anything to know the truth. That was your drive, that was your focus, that was your purpose. And through that dedication and through that willingness to be nothing but truth, the spirit of truth emerged, took your vessel, and is now residing within you, with you. And in today's world, that's just not what most people know is reality. So to put that into words so that people understand is very challenging. To live in this alone is challenging, but to try to describe it to somebody else is a whole nother experience. And that's what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, the mystery means my story. It's my story. And my story is different than the stories that people know, because it's from my perspective, from my experiences. So, yeah, I mean, to be back in a body, I mean, even the first time and having that experience again was almost something that I couldn't fathom. And I remember when my spirit first came through, and I remember looking at my hands, or looking through my eyes and looking at my hands and saying, I can't believe that we still have these bodies. And it was just this, it was something that I hadn't ever experienced before. I hadn't recognized something so alien before. And I didn't know what to make of it, of course, at that time. But it's been a gradual, steady process of preparing myself, or preparing the avatar for that to happen. And man, in order for that to happen, that's the spiritual death. I mean, I went through it. My ego died. That other person that was driving the avatar up until that point, keeping the seat warm, had to die in order for my spirit or this my spirit to come through in its entirety, because it doesn't compete. Truth is truth, and I had to walk myself literally to the edge of meaning, like to the jungle, to a temple in the jungle. I knew that through the entheogenic gateway, that was the gateway. That was the gateway to the divine. Our ancestors have always talked about that. So, to be in a place where there was absolutely no fear, it was just utter surrender to know the divine for what the divine is, to see it for how it sees itself. No preconceptions, no expectations, no anything. And through my life, been being prepared through these rituals and ceremonies and how to use these plant medicines to achieve said things, prepared me for the moment. And in that moment is where the old me died and didn't come back. But what did come back was my spirit, because that's what I met on the other side, as people like to call it. But I met myself.
And you brought her, the other part of you as well, back. I don't know why I refer to it as her, but brought that back with you. You brought that spirit as truth back with you from the plant side.
Well, we called her because she
her.
went by Sophia. She went by all these names. She is wisdom. She is knowledge. And she was my guide. And she's always been my guide. She's my counterpart. She's my partner. And she's the one who has led me through this life, but has made me work for it extremely hard, and has tested me over and over and over again to my commitment for that. But the first thing that she ever told me was that I'm a warrior, that I'm her soldier, that I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to be like the natives of here, that I am here to do my job. And my job is not to be like them. My job is to transmit truth. My job is to first reconnect with myself and be the bridge and conduit for truth to be able to come into this realm in its pure form. So that was my earthly mission up until this point. So, people have heard about the lost years of another great teacher and stuff, and have probably wondered what has happened during those years. But during those years is where the work is being done. During those years is where you're testing the things that you're experiencing next to the knowledge that you previously had, and you're finding holes. You're learning how to think. You're learning what reason is. You're learning to trust yourself. You're learning to trust your gut, your intuition. And by following that, you don't have to understand it, but you just follow it. That's that faith, stepping out on blind faith, because you know that something's talking to you. You know that whenever you listen to it, it's always looking out for you. You know that it's never led you astray. So I haven't had the experience personally to never not listening to that voice, and because of that, it's led me all the way here. Because I knew I didn't have to understand it in the moment. It didn't matter. It just was something that I knew was right, and it's an unquestioning loyalty, and that's the marriage. I mean, that's her that brought me through this. Is that she knew that it was an unquestioning loyalty, that whatever she asked, I'd do. Because by me doing what I needed to do through her instructions brought me back to myself, so that I could have understanding, so that with that, then we can reunite and bring that truth to the world. And that truth is the truth that we all share, but we've forgotten one critical aspect of that truth, which is her. She is law, she is truth, reciprocity, harmony, justice, balance, all that. And we've forgotten her, but she's our teacher. She's the mother. She's their nurturer. She's always been here, but people have forgotten how to talk to her directly outside of just acknowledging her nurturing aspect. But she's a teacher. She's always been the teacher. So she's always been my teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And because she's been my teacher, I've always known God. And because I've always known God, or what I call divinity, then it was just a matter of remembering. It was a matter of coming back into the fold of my own self and reconnecting all aspects of this back together into a whole. Because my mind can't operate in something that's fragmentary. Because my mind sees things that are whole. And that's conflicting in this world just as it is because, everybody sees very fragmented. That's why there's so many different fields of study and endeavor. But with me, I can't speak without having first reconciled those things into a unified understanding because, there isn't this thing that's not that thing. So it's learning how to see all those things as a united thing, and each one of those individual branches is just, an expression, but not an expression that contains the whole, but at the same time, it's just an aspect of it. Kind of just like how a hologram works. You break a hologram into some pieces and you shine the light through it and you still get the whole picture. So it's the same thing. That's how our fields of study work down here. But the problem with that is you can't be exclusive. You can't just be exclusive to that one particular thing. You got to be open to all of it. And we used to see that, and they called them polymaths and in the Renaissance era where these people had many different disciplines under their belt because they understood something fundamental. They understood a philosophy because they had, they were coming out of the Egyptian culture. They had just moved on from that into their own culture and their own definition of what this reality should be. But they still held those tenets and those philosophies, those certain truths to where, they knew that knowledge and study is at the heart of everything. And that is to be wise. And I mean, even all the way up until the founding fathers of the United States of America, they speak the same way. And so it's a language that they spoke up to a certain time where this language was inclusive of freedom and sovereignty and things like that. But it was earned. It was known that it was earned because you had to be educated. If you couldn't read, then you didn't know. So you had to apply the effort. In today's age, I mean, it's a lot different, obviously, as that goes, but we won't go too much into that right now.
That's a whole nother story.
It's a whole nother story.
So you touched on it a little bit, but I want to emphasize the depth of knowledge that you were able to bring forth.
Okay.
My daughter's the person of 1,000 questions, and she has asked you question after question after question, and there has been nothing that she has asked you that you haven't been able to fully explain, and tie it all back into truth. Everything ties into the basic truths, and that's what's so beautiful about you and the energy you encompass, because it is all truth, and it's so easy to see, and you make it sound so simple to tie everything back in when it's the most complexity, more complex than anything. I mean, it's our reality, total complex. But you can simplify things and put them in words that people today can understand. Mm-hmm. And that is such a gift that humanity needs, because you can explain the past and the present and what we're doing here and what these times actually are and the opportunities for people and what we need to do to get out of this matrix. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just leads into why am I here? Like, why now? And why now is to do this job. And what's this job other than reconciliation? It's always been a message of reconciliation. There's never been any other message besides reconciliation, because with every message and with every new piece of information comes a new perspective. With new perspective comes a new way of analyzing what you previously knew. So every message is a message of reconciliation. So now we're just moving into a place to where it is the reconciliation, because it is the final balancing of the paradoxes. I mean, look, we've been holding the same rope and been arguing over two different ends of it, but it still belongs to the same rope. So when we move past these elementary teachings of the past teachers of this world, or I should say, yeah, in the past teachers of this world, because humanity was at a level where they could only understand those teachings at that time, hence why those teachers said, look, there will be another version of the teacher that comes later to give you more clarity and understanding, because at this point in time, I can't give you any more than what I've given you, because you need to live the life. You have to have the life experience to go with the words in order to understand what I said. But that has to play out, so you have to wait. But now you know, while you're waiting and while it's playing out, how to get through it. That's been all those messages. That's the whole point. Until there is a so-called end, and all that end is, there's never an end. Everything always keeps on going. The thing is, this point in time just marks a reconciliation, which we've determined as an end. An end to what? An end to ignorance, an end to division, an end to brother against brother. You know, it's family against family. It doesn't even make sense. It's time to move past those things, because only by moving past those things can you become part of the celestial family, because you have to be a law-abiding citizen. But if you're not a law-abiding citizen, then, I mean, that's why we're here. That's why people are here. But now is the time where people can elevate their situation by increasing their level of perception to where it's a more inclusive reality, to where it starts phasing out those things that are incompatible to what pure truth is, which is harmony and all those things and other adjectives that go along with what truth is. But at the same time, what is truth other than pain? Because if people aren't ready for truth, then truth hurts a lot. And people know that it's a saying here. So when you apply that saying to truth, then there really shouldn't be a surprise, because there's going to be some things that are going to be hard to hear. But when things become hard to hear and challenge what was previously known, that's when you know you're making progress. That's when you know that you're finally getting into an area outside of your previous comfort zone. And this isn't about being comfortable here. I mean, to make yourself comfortable in the world as it's been defined to you up until this point is foolishness. It's about working, and it's working towards an understanding, and that understanding comes through reconciliation. And reconciliation means that you have an all-inclusive foundational viewpoint of reality, which is what established in law. So in law is given by her and represented by her, so that means that you're in balance, because you balance the masculine and feminine within yourself. And you honor those things. That what else would it mean to honor your fathers and your mothers? People think that this is like, you know, their physical mothers and their fathers. I mean, this is your spiritual mother and father. But if we don't remember them, for example, by replacing holy days with holidays and things like that, then that's why people suffer, right? And it says that because for a lack of knowledge, and that's where we're at. So this is the age of Aquarius, as they call it, or the water bringer, information. It's the information age, truly.
And the truth washes away the lies.
Yeah, and everything finally rises to the surface. So all the things that were hidden and below the waters finally rises up, and you say, "Oh my goodness, like what a polluted lake." Because I mean, all this has been just, I mean, this is hell, for lack of a better word. But it's the glitter and the glam that's sprinkled on top. And I mean, that's the sorcery here, is to where it's acceptable. It's like, how do you package and deliver hell to where people accept it with a smile on their face? That's this world.
Look at the world.
Yeah, so it's like, how can you do that without magic, without seduction, without control of the mind and people's perception and how they see things? Then that's why they're called illusionists, and mathematicians, because when you know how to use these fundamental elements of reality, then you can do anything to change people's perception of what they're seeing or lack thereof.
And they've done a grand job of it.
Yeah.
They've done a good job of it.
That's the job, because the job is to present what? The family with truth, with challenges. Because we need challenges. So it's like, be grateful for these challenges, because it's like, look how much they respect you. It's like they respect you enough to work this hard to try and fool you. But
Very good point.
you know, but it's at the same time, it's very easy to break these spells of illusion by having these conversations, and that's why people are divided amongst themselves to not be able to have these conversations. Because this is why people met at the church back in the day. The church is nothing but four walls and a roof. But people met in the church because it was the informational center of the town. I mean, that's where people learned. That's where people taught. That's where people caught up. That's where people, worshiped. That's where people did all that stuff. So it's like, again, it's like the church means the people. So the church has nothing to do with these buildings sitting on every corner like a 7-Eleven.
Or the rituals that they perform that are
Uh-uh.
totally distorted.
It's got nothing to do with that. What it has to do with this, the people, because the people make the church. And, think about it. It's like people in this world, there's certain peoples in this world, when they do certain things that people say, oh man, that person's got a lot of soul. Or that person just caught the Holy Ghost. Or that person's got a lot of spirit, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you've encountered somebody that belongs to the family of truth. Because, how can you feel spirit in somebody that doesn't have that same type of spirit? It's like it's a vibration. You feel something that is abnormal. You feel something that's not every day. This person is conveying something, expressing something in such a way that it becomes beautiful. Because it's an art through their expression. It doesn't matter, because everything down here is language. So whether they draw it out, or whether they speak it out, whether they do it musically, it doesn't matter. All that's language, and that language resonates with people. And when you express things purely creatively in the spirit of truth and purity, then everybody vibes to that. Everybody feels that. That's what every marketer chases down here. It's like, how do I get them to buy? How do I get them to engage with me? It's like, well, you can't teach that. You can't buy that. That is just something that's just something that's inherent. And being the case that that's inherent, you just got to go with that.